Yeah.
You want to like them, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over there,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah. Good morning and welcome back. That's right. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live each and every morning, Monday through Friday. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Whatever, chick. The man on the other microphone, he is a great American. He is a great patriot, and he snots red, white, and blue.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is Friday, June 21st, 2019, and Loudbeard, it is going to be a great Friday. We have a great draft ahead of us, but Loudbeard, we have some wannabes. We have some copycats. We have people that looked at the Scout Team Radio formula, and they're trying to recreate that. Do you know who I'm talking about, sir?
I have no idea. None.
I didn't think you would because I didn't leave enough evidence to where I was going. But you know how we are here in Orlando, and you can catch us at scoutteamradio.com. You can catch us on 12ouncesportsradio.com. You can catch us at all of the different Podbean, Apple Podcasts. You can catch us all there, and we're out of Orlando, right?
Yes, I see where you're going, yep.
But we also have a home in
I'm listening.
Canada. We have a home in Canada. It's called the Barn Burner Network. We are a big hit up there in Canada. It is so hot. They're having the hottest summer on record, and that's our thing, right? We've been doing this for about 6 months now, I'd say. Maybe a little bit more than that.
We're hotter than some 41 up there.
Definitely. Well, I mean, that's not hard to do, but yes. We are hotter than some 41. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays took a gander at Scout Team Radio and our formula and said, I think we need to try that too. And so they're going to explore options to be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Montreal Rays. And it is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard. Just move them to Montreal, please. Get them out of my sight. I don't want them.
I love it. I love the idea. You're crazy, man. Yeah.
What do you love about this idea?
Well, for years, 4 years, I've been playing with this idea of the Jacksonville Jaguars should be half in Jacksonville, half in Orlando. And I think they've taken this idea that I've had for many, many years, because I don't believe the Jaguars should just be in Jacksonville. Forget London. Have them in Orlando half the time, Jacksonville half the time. You're going to increase revenue. You're going to increase viewership. You're going to increase seats, ticket sales. You're going to increase all of that. So now the Tampa Bay Rays organization said, well, what can we do to help us out? Let's split it. Now, Montreal's a little far. Geographically, I think it is challenging.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. But that's okay. We can work around this. I like the idea because we all know that the Tampa Bay Rays are sitting there. I believe that they are second to last in ticket sales behind the Miami Marlins. It's sad that the state of Florida cannot get behind baseball. But if you do this, the games that are home, think about it, how many baseball games are there? We always talk about the season being so long. Well, now we're cutting the season up a little bit. We're saying, okay, now instead of 80 home games, we're going to have 40 home games. And guess what? Now all those Tampa Bay, St. Pete, all those local area people that want to go watch these games, they've got 40 opportunities, and more of them are going to go. So you're going to increase sales locally because there's less supply, and there should be more demand under theory. And then up in Montreal, you get a whole new fan base. You get the whole country of Canada. Well, not really, because Toronto is still there, but you get a big portion of a giant country that we have good relations with. We have good relations with this country, and we might as well take advantage of it and let the Tampa Bay Rays be part of Canada. And I think it is a fantastic idea. Bravo, Tampa Bay, for making this the right decision.
You're wrong on so many levels, Loudbeard. I get it at first. Maybe more people will go to Rays games because season tickets will be cheaper. Obviously, if you take it from 80 games to 40 games, theoretically, season tickets should become a lot easier to get by and a lot more affordable. But they're talking about the Tampa Bay Rays playing in Tampa the first half of the season and then Montreal the second half of the season. So we get the boring months of baseball. Our team, our city, our state, we're the ones that birthed these things. We're the ones that had to sit through awful season after awful season. We get the boring part of the season that nobody cares about. And then the Montreal Rays, the fans in Montreal, they get the second half of the season where there's playoff races and wild card races and trade deadlines, and they get all of the exciting stuff of July through October. And then I started wondering, well, how are they going to do the playoffs when the Rays make the playoffs? Since they're playing in the second half of the season in Montreal, do the playoff games just get to stay in Montreal? Do they split them, 2 games here? If we get home field advantage, like how are they going to split playoff home games? Because if the Montreal Rays get the playoff home games, then definitely count me out in the playoffs. I don't want any part of it. They spurned me. This isn't a polyamorous relationship. This is a monogamous relationship. If you go to Tampa and Orlando, that makes more sense because we're still one state. We're still one Central Florida area. It's all the same tax dollars for the most part as far as state revenue goes, and it's good. But we're not even keeping the money in the state, and you're not even keeping the money in the country. You're sending it to Canada. As much as I love Canada, Loudbeard, this is our team. This is our money revenue. We built you this stadium, and yes, it's old, and yes, it doesn't look good, but we still built it for you. And now you want us to provide you with security and all these other tax breaks and stuff like that? No, man, come on.
Well, there's a lot of ifs in that statement. You're saying, if the Montreal Rays get the playoff games. Well, you don't know that that's the case. Yeah, maybe they're still in the infancy of deciding how this is all going to work out. But do you think they're going to completely not give any of the Tampa Bay fans a playoff game? And the second
I didn't even think that this was ever a thing. I didn't know this was ever a thing. Hey, we're gonna split teams or split cities. There's two.
Well, it was never a thing. This is the first.
There's two
first
team
for
cities.
everything.
There's never 2 city teams.
There is a first for everything, and sometimes in this world we need change. 20 years ago, the world was not going to be prepared for a handheld computer in every little child's hands, and now all of a sudden we have these supercomputer cell phones in everybody's hand. You gotta move forward with change, Chris America. You gotta understand the world is evolving. Terminator, the whole movie, it's coming true. The machines are taking over, and besides that, this is a good idea. And I do need to say that if just because it's never happened before doesn't mean it can't happen, doesn't mean it won't be successful. Be open-minded.
Okay, so big-time Rays fan, David Green, is chiming in at Scout Team Radio, killing me with the Rays right off the bat. He's hating this move. He did like your interesting spin he hadn't heard of, but he still doesn't like it. And now the more important question, Loudbeard, who gets the World Series parade?
You do both. Why would you not do both? You love this team is going to have 2 giant fan bases or 2 medium-sized to okay-sized fan bases. But either way, you do a parade at both. And here, I'm going to give you another little spin on your take. Okay, so the Rays get the first half. I don't know of the season Tampa Bay gets the first half. Montreal gets the second half. I could see where that would be a little bit of a struggle because as a fan, you would want the second half when it's all exciting. But in baseball nowadays, only about half of the teams is it exciting the second half of the season. So the Rays are good right now, but in theory, over time, they're going to have some clunker of seasons. Every team typically does. Mm-hmm. And when you have a clunker of a season, and midway through, right near the trade deadline, these teams start trading away all their assets and then going into tank mode and all that. Imagine being Montreal and you get the second half of the season, which is all tank mode. So there is good and bad to both having the first part of the season and having the second part. Yeah, there can be some excitement with the pennant race and all that good stuff, but there's also that chance that you're going to have that, I don't know, terrible second half of the season where your team's already out of it and the baseball stinks. So there's good and bad to both. So I'm not a big fan of the breaking it up, half and half. Now, if they alternated years, maybe odd years are
Yeah. I get what
Tampa
you're
Bay
saying.
first season. We could live with that, but there definitely needs to be more dialogue around this. But don't poo-poo the idea until you really give it some consideration, because I think there's some real potential here, and I applaud the Rays for looking at opportunities to really increase this fan base for this team, because we know that it's not happening out in St. Pete right now. It isn't. We know that. We know that it's not working. And yeah, the answer could be moving them closer to Tampa instead of actually putting them in St. Pete, or the answer could be 1,000 different things, but at least they're trying to figure out what that answer is, and they're trying to come up with a solution. God bless you, Tampa Bay.
I say, still,
Canada bless you, too.
if they look at this, just move to Montreal. Just get them out of Tampa. I said it before, like, if you guys can't fix it down here, then just move somewhere else. I just don't care anymore. I don't want this half and half. I don't want to be like half of our team is in here and half of our team is over there. I even didn't when the Orlando Apollos announced that they were going to be practicing in Georgia. I was like, I don't like that. That's not okay. Like making the players do that. And then where do you live if you're a player? I know players spend most of the season on the road anyways, or half of the season on the road anyways. But now you're making them spend like 2/3 of the season on the road. Who wants to sign with that to where they can't be with their families during home games and stuff, or that they have to move their families up to Canada for half the year or down to Tampa for half the year? Who wants to do that with their families? They barely see their families now as it is, and now you're going to tell players, yeah, come sign with us where you won't be able to see your family for like 4 months out of the year.
Oh, yeah, I feel really bad for the quality of life for these baseball players. I mean, making millions of dollars.
Don't start.
Making
There's
millions of
stop.
dollars.
There is not
What?
Listen, there's not a million. You can pay me trillions of dollars, and it's not worth missing out on my son's life or seeing my wife every day. There's not a single amount of money that you can do. Stop with the I feel sorry for the rich guy rant. Like, that's a real thing, man.
But just because you're playing in Montreal half the year and Tampa the other half of the year doesn't mean your family can't be where you're at.
No, not when not when my son has
that's a
school to
commitment
go
you
to.
make when you.
No, that's not when my son has to go to school, and he's got
The
his own
first half of
soccer
the
practice
season's
and
during
his
the
own
summer.
baseball practice.
It's a commitment you make being a athlete. This is what all
No,
the athletes. So you're traveling and all of that.
He's got April and May he has to go through, and then yes, he's got the summer, but he also wants to go to his summer camps and all this other stuff. That's not a way for a family to live. I'm sorry, man. It's just not. Moving them back and forth all around. It's bad enough that they already have to like worry about getting traded and things of that sort. And not every player makes millions of dollars.
Anybody in the majors makes a decent salary to
No,
be able
they
to
do,
support
but not
that.
enough-
Yes,
not-
I'm not feeling
Not
bad
to
there.
support that. Like most players now as it is, they keep their families in one spot anyways. Now, some players do decide to sign with a team and then keep their family elsewhere. Like Doc Rivers, his son stayed in Orlando. Their family stayed in Orlando. Well, he went to Boston and L.A. If that's their choice to do that, that's fine. But I don't know how many people do that, and then how many people are going to sign with other teams, knowing that that's like it's a forced decision. It's not even a decision you can make on your own.
All right. Well, Doc Rivers is a great example because it's someone that kept his family where it was. Now, if you look at a guy, and I'm going different sports here, I'm going to just use Josh Rosen as an example because he just retired, and there was that running joke that he was going to have his jersey retired at the 20 different teams that he played for in his career. So he could be moving around team to team to team.
By the way,
team
did you
to
say Josh
team.
Rosen and you meant Josh McCown?
Yeah, I did mean Josh McCown. You're totally right.
I mean, Josh Rosen will probably be the next.
Yeah, it's Freudian slip.
But
But
he's already been on 2 teams and he hasn't even played 2 seasons, so he's on his way to being Josh McCown.
But that's the commitment you make when you're a professional athlete is that is no different. Like if you played 5 years for the Rays
Right.
with the Tampa/Montreal, would be no different if you had to move your family from city to city to city to city. But that's the commitment you make. You understand that as an athlete, one, the highs can be the greatest of highs, right? You can make lots of money. You're playing the sport that you love, and it is a great thing. The lows are you can be moved around at any moment. You a lot of times you can be cut at any moment. There's just a lot of moving parts with that. So, I mean, I feel bad for families that have to go through that, but it is what you sign up for. It's no different. You know, a lot of people that join the military get moved around and the families get moved and displaced frequently. It's just when you commit to that, sometimes those are that is part of it. Now, I get what you're saying. It's unorthodox because it's one team in two different cities, but it is part of what you expect as an athlete is anything can change at any time. You can be in any city and you're on the road half the time anyway. So there's a lot of sacrifice in there already.
So basically what you're saying is the Tampa Bay Rays are going to only be able to sign the Josh McCowns of baseball. That sounds like a fantastic team to build, and that's my point. No big-time superstar who wants to be with his family is going to sign with this team. You're sitting there and you're saying, oh, you got to make the commitment, you got to make the sacrifice. No, I don't. Not if I'm a big-time player or if I am on the Rays and I become a big-time player. And I say, you know what? I am so tired of this moving back and forth. I don't have to make this sacrifice. I'm Aaron Judge. Let's say the Rays happen to sign Aaron Judge. He can say, I'm Aaron Judge, and I can go sign anywhere. I don't have to make any sacrifices. Teams need to bend over to what I want, and I want my family to stay in one city. I want to be in a city where I can see my family, half of the season, and all this, that, and the other. So that's where I'm going to sign. I'm going to go sign with the other, 29 baseball teams that are in one city. And so that's what my point is.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Rays have really signed a lot of big names over the years.
So
and
what
all
are you
the names
do?
that are there, they all leave anyway. So
right,
because
now,
the Rays
so now you have
can't
another reason,
generate the revenue
but
to
now you
keep
just
people.
created another reason for people to leave. You created another reason for people to go. Evan Longoria didn't go. Evan Longoria was a great example of a guy who said, I'm going to stay right here. Would Evan Longoria have made that same decision had he been moving back and forth between two countries and had his family bounced around? I don't know, but he doesn't seem like the guy that wants his family to bounce around. I think that's one of the reasons why he stayed in Tampa as long as he did, because he knows that he loves the consistency and the normalcy of life in the Tampa Bay area and all of that stuff. And that's the other part. Who wants to live in Canada? No offense, Canada, but between Tampa and Montreal, I'd rather live in Tampa.
You're killing the Montreal Canadian fans right now. You're killing them.
Even Montreal people know they'd rather be in Tampa right now.
So if this opportunity
they'd rather
was
be on
able
if I went to Montreal right now, I'd be like, who wants to come to Clearwater Beach and spend the week, chilling next to the Gulf and drinking a fruity drink or drinking a Natter Day? I guarantee I'm not going to find many Montreal people who are like, nope, don't want to do that. I love Montreal too much.
Yeah, you're killing me with this because you're just assuming that Tampa's this great destination. Why aren't they bringing in these big time names now? It's no different. It's absolutely no different. And they might be able to produce more revenue, which would be able to get them to have these larger contracts. Because right now, Tampa acts as a farm system because they aren't able to pay these guys like some of these bigger programs are. So they're never going to be able to compete for these big names. But if they do something different where they create more revenue and then they're able to put more back into players' salaries, maybe they will be able to bring in a big name. But as it stands right now, they can't do it anyway. So,
hey, Loudbeard.
Yeah.
Where was your Washington Nationals from? They've been in Washington for 70, 80, 90 years, right?
So you're going to say, because they moved from Montreal?
From Montreal? Why did they move from Montreal again? Was it wasn't because they were raking in tons of dough from Montreal and the fan support was so amazing and they had this killer revenue stream just pouring into them. It's just they were like, you know what? We just want to be next to the president. Let's go move to Washington.
So what you're saying is that city can't sustain a team. It's kind of like Tampa St. Pete. So we should just get rid of them. Let's get rid of.
That's what I said at the beginning of this.
I know, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you want to get rid of your team out of your state?
Because if they don't want to be here, if they want to continuously beg for money and complain and whine and all this other stuff, as they're a part of this multi-billion-dollar sports league, then go find somebody else. I'm done with the Rays.
Good for you. I am not. I like having a local team, and if there's a way to be able to get them to be
Okay.
more.
How many Rays games have you
Man.
gone to?
I'm going to one on the 30th.
Okay, and,
So,
and that'll be
in a
how
week.
many times in your life?
I've gone to a few. I mean, I haven't gone to 80 a season.
Can
I
you
don't.
Can you count on two hands?
Yeah, I could count on. I've probably gone to like 4 or 5, but I don't. What?
So how would your life be any different if the Rays moved?
Just because I don't go to every game doesn't mean that I don't want them to leave. Hey man, you're laughing because you think that all fans need to be at every game for them to be a super
No, I don't.
fan.
But for you
How
to
does
sit
that
here and
make
be
any
like-
sense?
But for you to sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm going to be so sad if your life is not going to be any different." Now, the fan that does go to like a handful of games a season, that's the fan that I can see being upset. Like,
Yeah, but I didn't
like
say
my
I was going to
friend
be sad.
Trisha.
I said
I know
I'd
my
like
friend
to have
Trisha.
them.
You just like that option, right? Just in case.
Wait, I've gone to games. I'm going to games. I'm going to a game in 9 days.
That's awesome, man. Who are they playing?
They're playing the Rangers.
Oh, cool. So you can
Yeah.
get into it with the old God. They had so many names I can't remember any of them. The old rehab sports guys.
Oh yeah. But the point is it's nice to have that. So same thing with Orlando Magic. If they left, will you be upset?
Yeah, because that's my team that I grew
And
up loving and liking.
How
and
many
everything
games
else.
have you gone to?
Well, I watch their games on TV all the time. I'm not
Okay.
going to get that anymore. I don't watch the
But
Rays.
it's
I'm
the
sure
same
you don't. I'm
argument.
sure you don't watch the. Do you watch the Rays?
I occasionally, not a lot. But what's the you're not going to the games. It's the same argument you're
Right.
making. So
I
the
hear
Magic
you.
could ship
Okay.
out tomorrow, and I'd say, well, you never went to a game, so there you go. Your team's gone. That was your choice. But
All
that's
right,
that's
we got a new
the
we got a
argument.
new notification coming in. I think UCF Knights should be a shared team with the city of Tallahassee. Absolutely not. That is the most ridiculous statement you've ever said, Memphis, and I almost want to block you for saying it.
Well, it would improve the team over there in Tallahassee if the
It
Knights
would.
went over there. They'd finally have
It
a
would
good
improve
team.
the team. It would improve the city. It would improve the armpit of Florida, because that's what Tallahassee is. So, Loudbeard, apparently it's Fighting Friday.
Oh yeah.
I think we need to calm down, but I do love it. It's our first ever real, true blue sports debate, and we got heated. We embraced debate. We finally sounded like Stephen A. Smith and that other guy that
Yeah,
nobody
you-
remembers because Skip Bayless left, and nobody cares.
Oh
about the
no,
other
I was gonna
guy.
say you're definitely Skip Bayless.
I don't know if being Stephen A. Smith is any better.
It's a good point. Basically, both of them.
And you know what? You know what the funny part is we're probably arguing this, and it's probably never going to happen. All they're really doing is just looking into it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They're basically the beginning of a conversation about it.
Right.
They're
Let's
going to
do
run
logistics.
detailed analytics, logistics. They're going to do all of that to see if
I'm sure they're
is
going
it
to
a
poll
better
players.
idea.
I'm sure they're going to poll players and go over the things that we discussed today. Like, would you sign with a team knowing you had to split your family? Would you, or maybe they'll go around and say, would we generate more revenue in Montreal? Does the city of Montreal want a baseball team? Do they want to share a baseball team? Like, what is the interest in Montreal? And then they would go to Tampa and St. Pete and say, all right, if we did this, would you be turned off? Would you hate it? Would you stop buying season tickets? What would your reaction be? And I think they got to weigh all of that into the options. And you and I can debate it, but we really don't know. We're really just forming our own opinions based on what we think should happen, and we're saying that this is true. That's the best part about debate.
Did you just say embrace debate?
Embrace debate. Hashtag it. I made it up just on the fly. Never heard of it before in my life.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, Loudbeard, are we ready to come down and maybe look at a O.J. Simpson tweet? See what's going on there? Maybe lighten the mood or darken the mood?
We can do that. I also have the 911 call from Le'Veon Bell when he had his jewelry stolen. So if you want to hear that, I have that.
Actually,
queued
yeah.
up also.
Let's do that because I don't have the O.J. Simpson tweet up yet.
What do you mean you don't have it? So let's get this thing going here. Make sure the ad doesn't play first.
911. What's the address of the emergency?
Hollywood, Florida.
Oh, okay. Tell me exactly what happened.
Well, I had two girls in my house, and I got up, did my normal routine to go work out. So I left to work out for a couple hours. When I came back, they took my money, they took my watch, my jewelry, a couple more things of value out of my house, and I don't know where they at. And I tried to call them before I called you guys. I tried to call them, and they're not answering me, and they're ignoring me.
When did this happen?
This happened today.
No. Okay. What all did you say was taken? I know you said money.
So money, my jewelry, and other things of value, so like clothes, shoes, just like other things of value around the house, like things that I use. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
But really, clothes, shoes, money.
Okay. What is the
Clothes,
total?
money, and my jewelry.
What is the total estimated value of the items?
Oh, like $1 million.
Since you said that you know the girls who did this, I need to get their description. Are they white, black, or Hispanic?
The girls, one is mixed, and they're both mixed.
Okay, their skin color, if an officer was to drive by, would they look more white, black, or Hispanic?
One will look more black, and the other one will look more.
Okay, the one that looks more black, how old is she?
23.
What was she wearing today?
Today, when I left, she was in the bed. She was in the bed, not wearing clothes when she left. So I didn't see her when she, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, and the other one you said she looked more Hispanic, is that correct?
Like, she looked more like, if anything, like, white or Hispanic, yes.
Okay. How old is she?
She's 21.
And what was she last seen wearing today?
The same way. She was in the bed, too. Like, they didn't have clothes on.
Oh, okay. What is her phone number?
All right, there we go. So naked girls in the bed stealing all his stuff. I was hoping for a little bit more juiciness with the naked thing. It was supposed to be funny, but it just kind of dragged on a little bit there. But that's athlete problems right there. Two naked girls at home
I love
in
how
the
he's
bed.
just, like, nonchalantly just saying, "Oh God, like how much is that? I guess $1 million. Like
it's $1 million.
Like he just lost the 20.
Yeah.
But he knows it's covered by insurance. Okay, Loudbeard. The O.J. Simpson tweet and the responses are the best. I'm gonna create like a little theme song for this. Don't you worry. All right, the O.J. Simpson tweet of the day. O.J. tweets, someone yesterday asked me what the best advice I ever got was. My mother said to me before she passed, Orenthal, you can't let people in mean speech set you further away from GD, which I don't know what GD is.
God?
I don't know. God, maybe, but he put like G-D, so I don't know why he didn't want to just spell out God. But I guess that's what she meant. That was the best advice I ever got. And by the way, she was the only one who called me Orenthal. So responses here. At Fake Philly Fan. OJ, my wife left her sunglasses at a restaurant. Should someone bring them to her or should I kill her? Let me know. Thanks, buddy. And then at Ollie Connolly says, you're killing this Twitter thing. Person responding says, allegedly. And then my favorite one. My favorite one, remember how he said that his mom was the only one that called him Orenthal?
Yes.
At Big Top 34 says, the jury also called you Orenthal too, Juice.
These people, man, they're ruthless.
They're vicious.
They out of control. Man, these
Oh,
OJ
wow.
tweets, this is gonna
Okay.
it's gonna just keep coming. All right. Oh, I hear an oh wow. Let's hear what this is all about.
Sometimes I don't know if it's too dark or too. This is bad. My mother told me that knives were solely for the purpose of cutting food.
Yeah. Is this gonna get old? Because it's all gonna be just
I think
like
it will be.
stab
I think
jokes,
it will be. Yeah.
cutting jokes.
Yeah. I did like the one that Orenthal, the jury called you Orenthal too. Like,
Yeah,
your mom
that's a
wasn't
good
the only
point.
one. Come on, guy. I should have just stopped there. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, are we ready to go to break?
I don't know. but sure.
Did that get you down? You seem down. I feel like you
You
fell
seem
flat
down.
with the Le'Veon Bell and then the OJ Simpson tweets. It seemed like you're down, and nothing picks you up, Loudbeard, like a fantasy draft.
Hey, Kawhi, what are you laughing at, man? This isn't funny. Fantasy sports reimagined. FanDuel, that's what I'm talking about. It is more than just fantasy sports. It's the best way to watch the games, win real cash, and bring the action right to your living room. Just choose a contest, make your picks, watch, and win. And if you go to FanDuel.com/STR today, you can get a $5 deposit bonus. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/STR. Come on, man. This is not a laughing matter. If you've been listening to Scout Team Radio for a long time, you know that myself, Loudbeard, has placed a bet or two in his day. That's right, I've lost the beard bet, I lost the romper bet, but one place I don't like losing is when I bet money, and I can easily do that at MyBookie. That's right, you can go to mybookie.ag, use promo code 12OZSports, and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Hey, guess what? That is a lot of money. Do it.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. "12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst." Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Yeah, welcome back. That's right. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We appreciate all of our listeners out there. We thank you for listening to our first half, and on our second half of the show that we are starting right now, it is going to be hot with a fantasy draft. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you all, and I appreciate you listening in, whether you're listening in on Barn Burner Podcast Network, whether you're listening on the Full Press Radio Network, which we're simulcasting on, or if you're listening to our mothership station, 12-ounce Sports Radio. Also, those podcasts, make sure you hit us up on those podcasts. Anywhere you can find a podcast, hit us up at Scout Team Radio. Just search us out. Now, if you want to get social, the best way to do that is on Twitter. We will be interactive. We will read your tweets on the air. David Green's coming in hot and heavy today, and I appreciate that. David Green says, talk about the Magic pick. Honestly, I just want to hear you try to pronounce the guy's name. So number 16 overall in the NBA draft, we have Chume Okiki. There you go, David Green. That was for you. Orlando Magic with a little bit of a reacher last night. We'll call that the reach around draft grab. And
Isn't that the typical Magic draft pick? I feel like that's what we say every single draft year is, the
Yeah.
Magic reaching a little bit here. But do you really have a reach at 16?
No, at 16, there's they give a lot of criticism, these draft analyzers. They come out and they say, they reached for this guy. But really, after pick 8, it's basically, I don't know, just hoping for luck, right? You're hoping to get that one guy.
Yeah, and I just feel like
know.
the NBA draft is way more of a crapshoot. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It just always feels like the NBA draft is way more of a crapshoot because you say like after pick 8, it's this, but sometimes I look at like pick 6 and there's nobody there, and then we've talked about how like pick 13 has had a few guys that were pretty solid.
Oh yeah, man. It's tough. I mean, pick 15. Kawhi Leonard was a pick 15. Guy's MVP caliber in the league. So you look at that and you say, okay, well, obviously you can get some value there. You know who else was pick 15? Giannis. So
Giannis,
two
yeah.
of the best players in the NBA were picked at pick 15. So that's a lucky pick. Good thing the Magic had pick 16. Unlucky.
Okay.
16. I don't think anybody was good at 16.
I want to throw this out there right now. Chuma Okeke, I think we should call him Chewy. Or we can call him Chua OK.
Chukaka?
Chicago. Shishkabab.
Chicago.
Shawshank Redemption. Chicago. Oh, that's it. You're done. You're out.
That's his name. Yeah. Never. I didn't even know about this guy. Apparently, he had an ACL injury, so he's rehabbing, so he won't even be ready for the season.
What position does he play?
I want to say he's a power forward.
Okay.
6'7", big-bodied power forward out of Auburn. Yep. Did not play the final bit of the tournament because he went out with an ACL tear. So this is kind of a sleeper pick. Magic are trying to get somebody that could come back off this knee injury and be a good player for him. I don't know. After like you said, at a certain point it becomes a total crapshoot. I don't know if to say this is a bad pick or not. I know a team like the Suns last night reached for Cameron Johnson, who all the analysts were like, oh, he would have been there late first round, early second round. Why are they reaching so far at pick 11? Well, guess what? If that's the guy they want, just let them pick him. Half of these guys are going to be out of the NBA in 3 years anyway.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I did feel bad about something.
Half of them will be out of the league, and then the other half, or the other third. I don't know how. I'm bad at these percentages math, but the other larger portion of that will be riding the bench somewhere, being role players, going around the league, basically being the Josh McCowns of the NBA, where they're solid. You like to have them on your team coming off the bench, but that's all they're good for.
Yeah,
it's just like your Patrick McCaw, who's been on 3 championships. The guy has 3 championship rings, Patrick McCaw, and he's on 2 with the Warriors and 1 with the Toronto Raptors, and he'll probably get another one somewhere else. He's gonna have more. Patrick McCaw has as many rings as LeBron James. Just throwing that out there.
There you go.
And he's only been in the season or the NBA for 3 years.
Unbelievable, Your Honor.
So talking about guys that are no longer in the league, Loudbeard, let's talk about our draft. What is our draft?
All right, so we're going draft day busts here with the NBA in honor of the NBA draft that went last night. And the big names last night were the Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, RJ Barrett. But there's no guarantee that these guys are going to be successful in the NBA. One of these guys could be a bust. So we're going to do a top 5 draft of our biggest busts of all time. So, Chris America, I can't recall. Did you pick first last time, or did I pick first?
I think I picked first last time.
All right, so you're going to let me go first?
Yeah.
I think I can dig with that. So let's just jump into it. So draft busts for the NBA. I'm going to go number 1 here, and I've got to pick the biggest bust of all time. And most of this isn't because of how he played. Most of this is because he was drafted 1 pick of the air greatness known as Michael Jordan. That's right. Sam Bowie is going to be my number 1 pick for biggest draft bust. He was actually a decent player, but he got injured, and he was out of the league before you could even sniff at before he could even come close to what Michael Jordan was able to do. And I think Sam Bowie, to me, is my number 1 bust.
And you know what? I think that's a solid choice. I think that's everybody's choice. When you ask who's the biggest bust, you say Sam Bowie. But that's a theory of expectation relativity. If Michael Jordan was just an okay player, I think nobody put Sam Bowie as one of the biggest busts. But I wasn't around in 1983. I don't remember the hype. Well, I was around in 1983, but I wasn't born yet. I think I was born 2 months after that draft. And so I don't remember the hype of Sam Bowie going into the draft, what people thought about him. When the Portland Trailblazers picked him number 2, were they like, what a solid pick by the Portland Trailblazers. They're going to go far with this guy. However, the Portland Trailblazers drafted another center with my next pick, and I was around for that. I watched my Florida Gators dominate this guy's Ohio State Buckeyes. Actually, the Gators actually got kind of lucky in that game because I want to say Ohio State went like 1 for 20 from three-point land, and they only won by like 6 to 10 points. So if they would have made like 5 of those three-pointers, the Florida Gators might have lost. And Greg Oden did have a decent game in that game, and that's going to be my number 1 pick is Greg Oden. The guy had so much hype, and it was crazy because the season before that was my boy Joachim Noah. He was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick in 2006, but he decided to come back, and then Greg Oden just came into the college football or college basketball and just stole all that thunder away. And obviously, Joachim dropped to number 10 the next season. But Greg Oden, man, I feel like he's the biggest bust. Not because of somebody else was picked after him, but because of just so much hype behind him. And I spend way too much time talking about that. But I get on my Gators like you get on your Redskins, and I just go.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you mentioned this, but Kevin Durant was picked right after him. That helps. That helps the insanity of it.
Yeah.
So my second pick in this NBA draft. I like that. That's catchy. I'm going to have to go with Darko Milicic. He went ahead of the likes of Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony in the same draft, and the Detroit Pistons selected him. That was Joe Dumars' decision, and it did not pan out. I think after 4 seasons, this guy was already out of the NBA, averaging like 6 points a game. So Darko, to me, is my number 2 draft bust.
All right. So the guy I'm going to pick next, he's a 7-foot project. He was selected number 1 overall. And if you got a guy that's called a project, you don't draft him number 1 overall. Maybe this is what killed Taco Fall in the draft, is because nobody wanted to spend a draft pick on a project. But Michael Olowokandi, the Los Angeles Clippers in 1998, drafted the 7-foot project. He didn't even play organized basketball until he was 18. And over 10 seasons, he played with the Clippers, the Timberwolves, and the Celtics, averaging 8.3 points a game. And he cracked 45% shooting once in his 10 seasons. How are you a 7-foot tall center and you're not at 80% shooting? Like, the majority of your shots should just be slam dunks and putbacks. How are you below 50%? That is awful.
That is very, very awful. Wow.
End of the show?
Yeah, that's
Show's
it.
over already?
That was returning from commercial.
My pick was so good.
It was really good. Well, our draft is getting some tweets in here, Chris America. And
it always does.
Listener of the show, good friend, Jenny of Ohio. She says, being from Ohio, it makes me so happy when I see some OSU fans hype as the next big thing turns out to be a huge bust. Yeah, not an OSU fan over there. Hashtag it, Jenny. So she is happy to see.
Looks like I'm looking at her profile. Looks like she is. How are we not following Jenny of Ohio? I thought we were. Anyways, she's a Miami U fan, a Miami of Ohio, that is. What are they, the Red Hawks, I believe?
The Red Hot Hawks. Yeah, I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. I'm sure she'll chime in and let us know here in just a second. Could always look it up. All right, so
yes, we also everybody loves Ohio State bust though.
Yeah, that's
except for you. You don't want Ohio State bust now.
No, Dwayne Haskins. He's gonna be the best.
The real deal, right?
It has to be. There's no way. Top 5. So for my number 3 pick.
Hashtag that.
In this draft of bust drafts, I'm going to have to go with, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Anthony Bennett. The first Canadian to ever be picked number 1 overall, picked by the Cleveland Cavaliers. When they got that lucky stint where they got number 1 draft pick after number 1 draft pick after number 1 draft pick, they got Kyrie Irving, who ended up panning out, I would say. And then they go and they get Anthony Bennett to help resurrect this franchise after LeBron James left them in the rubble. And Anthony Bennett ended up being the biggest draft bust in Cleveland Cavaliers history and possibly in NBA history. Number 1 overall pick, who is now, I believe, in the G League or sitting on his couch somewhere, Anthony Bennett.
All right, Loudbeard. I'm going to go with one that is a big bust because he's also associated with Michael Jordan. And that, of course, is Kwame Brown to the Washington Wizards, #1 overall. And everybody was confused. You talked about a reacher. This was a reach even back then. But he did spend 12 years in the league, and he only averaged 6.6 points a game. And Michael Jordan's first pick ever did not even remotely live up to the height. I'm picking all these big center guys, 7 feet tall. Maybe people should just stop drafting centers as your #1 overall pick. Unless is Shaq and Dwight the only two centers that really lived up to their #1 overall pick?
There was a guy that went ahead of Sam Bowie, #1 overall.
Oh, yeah, Hakeem. But, I mean, we're going all the way back
Olajuwon.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're going all the way back. So between those three guys.
David Robinson, I think, was also a #1 guy.
Was he? Yeah, I guess he was. And but I feel like David Robinson feels more like today's power forward than a center. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, he was very Dwight Howard-esque, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then we say Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward, but he played like a center for a lot of his career, too. So there's some big men that pan out, but there's way more busts than there are guys that end up working out. And then there's always the dreaded foot injury that happens to guys like Yao Ming.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot
Good
about
old
that
Yao.
guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yao. All right. So where am I at? You went Kwame Brown. Damn, I got to look at my list now. Let's see. Who do I want to go next? You know what? That was a solid pick there with the Kwame Brown. I'm going to go with, let's go Purvis Ellison. So 1989's #1 overall pick. One of the reasons I picked this guy, not because he was a terrible player, but because he was plagued with so many injuries, he could never get on the court. And when you get a nickname like Out of Service Purvis, that to me deserves a spot in my draft. So Out of Service Purvis Ellison, the #1 pick in 1989, is my 4th pick in this draft bust draft.
All right, I like it. David Green chiming in. Yao Ming, just to add on. Are you saying like Yao Ming to add on as like a good draft pick? Because I agree with that. Unfortunately for Yao Ming, his height and size just kind of kept him. He when he played, he was great, but he just kept getting injured and stuff. And so since we're mentioning Yao Ming in that draft, I'm going to go with, what are we on, 3 or 4? I can't
This
remember.
will be your 4th pick.
All right, my 4th pick is 4 years after Michael Jordan left the Chicago Bulls. It wasn't very good for the Chicago Bulls. They were not a good team. They're still not a very good team. But they finally get the draft pick, and they're going to go after what many people regarded as the best player in the country, played out of Duke, was supposed to be a can't-miss point guard, and that is Jay Williams. Coming out, he came along with Yao Ming. He was the cream of the crop. The Bulls took him 2nd overall, and he gave them a solid rookie season. But now I don't know if I can make this a bust, because I didn't realize that he became a bust because he crashed a motorcycle, severing the nerve in his leg and shredding his knee. I made the pick, I guess, but if it's a sports injury, I get it. But if it's something like just life just tragically takes your career away, it's hard for me to label you as a bust. But I did make the pick. He is on this list, and that sucks for him, man.
Well, if that were the case, Len Bias is one of the biggest busts of all time. Gets drafted #2 overall by the Celtics, I believe, in '86.
Yep.
And then has that dreaded cocaine, alcohol binge, and passes away. And you look at that for that team. I mean, they got nothing out of that draft. Now, the tragic part is somebody losing their life.
Yeah, it's really hard to say that like they were a bust because they died, even if it was with their own bad decisions. It's like,
right?
Yeah, it just seems so wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to select them because I'm with you on that, and that's a tough way to go. But it's similar with Jay Williams. I mean, motorcycle accident, very, very bad thing to happen to your career. But at the same time, it's considered a bust because he had so much potential and could have been one of the greatest.
So, like, I look at guys like I consider my first pick, Greg Oden, to be a bust, and he was plagued by injuries. But those were injuries you should have been able to see and predict by his body size, his weight, and everything else like that. And I keep saying that about Zion Williamson, I know Memphis Spence is on that train with me, is you can take Zion number 1 overall, but you run that risk of him being that injury-prone bust. So, all right, I'm going to stick with, what was it, Jay Williams, and now it's your go for the 5th pick, right?
All right, yes, it is. My 5th and final pick of this draft bust draft is going to go to, and I'm going to throw you a curveball here, Chris America. You ready for it? You ready for it? Orlando Magic legend Markelle Fultz. It's a little too early, a little too quick to make this a bust, but in all actuality, he is a giant bust. As the Philadelphia 76ers select him number 1 overall and get absolutely nothing in return, as he has failed to really make any quality time on the court, has some rare disease that's holding him back that, it's tough for a number 1 draft pick overall to go through. But right now, unless something changes in the near future here, Markelle Fultz is one of the biggest draft busts.
So, Loudbeard, when I say the word tanking, the Philadelphia 76ers is a synonymous franchise with that. Like, if you put the word tanking in the dictionary, example will be Philadelphia 76ers, as I feel like that's the way they always build their teams throughout decade after decade, right?
Trust that process.
Well, it's no surprise that they were probably tanking in the early 90s, and at number 2 pick, they take a guy named Sean Bradley, 1993, and I guess I am just sticking with all big men except for that point guard, Jay Williams. 7'6" guy, huge man, was supposed to be a defensive force down in the post. Now, this is after Shaq got drafted, right? Shaq was 92?
Yeah, Shaq was 92.
So maybe Philly looks at what Shaq did in Orlando, and they're like, okay, we need that. We need that monster down on the floor and block shots. The only difference is he did get some blocks. He got about 3 blocks a game, but he also ended up on a lot of posters there, Loudbeard. This guy got dunked on more than an Oreo cookie did or a glass of milk. Yeah. So that's my number 5 pick, Sean Bradley.
But I will have to say, he did star in Space Jam, so that puts
He
him
did.
good in my
Yes,
book.
He did.
Counts for something. When you draft a guy that's 7'6", you know that
wait,
you're getting
that's
something different.
That's another player that was a bust that's associated with Michael Jordan.
Yep. Good old
3 out of
Mike.
the 10. 3 out of the 10 had some association with Michael Jordan.
There you go. You had
Michael Jordan's becoming the Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon of NBA drafts, that is.
Yep. Now, Loudbeard, who is a bigger draft bust from that 2007 era? Was it Jamarcus Russell or was it Greg Oden?
I don't know, but David Green tweets in he was hoping one of us would take Fultz. Yeah, that's with me. I did it. Vote for me, David Green. Vote for me. And I would say that Jamarcus Russell was the bigger bust.
I agree with you because
it was
again,
an injury.
Greg Oden was injury.
Yeah.
Jamarcus Russell was attitude and just no leadership skills. Just even when they picked him, I was like, that's going to be a bad move for them.
And it ended up not working out too well.
Now the Raiders are stuck with John Gruden.
You know what? It's funny that one little decision has led them to this path.
It's the butterfly effect, man.
Yeah, butterfly. There we go. John Gruden is on it.
Do you think John Gruden has a butterfly tattoo on his lower back?
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. No.
Or do you think he has the Batista belly button tattoo? Which, by the way, you were supposed to name that episode Belly Button Tattoos, and then you didn't.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I was going to name it, and I'm like, I can't remember what I said I
can't
was
remember
do.
what I said.
Nah, I completely forgot. It's all good, though. It's all good.
Well,
So, Chris America,
yeah.
I got something important I got to share.
Okay, I got something important after that. So you go first.
We might be a couple minutes over here. That's okay. So there's been I've been privy to some, let's call it secret information. Apparently, there's been some conversations between Dana White, some of the other UFC ownership, and Justin Bieber's manager. And we have gotten confirmation that Justin Bieber said he would absolutely fight Tom Cruise. So UFC is making a serious push to make this fight happen. I'm telling you, it could happen, Chris America. Justin Bieber could be fighting Tom Cruise. It's not dead in the water yet. Let's keep our hope alive.
I just want to know what Tom Cruise has to say about all this. I feel like this is something Tom Cruise is just not interested in. He's like, what? You said he was 56? Does a 56-year-old man really have anything to prove to some 24, 25-year-old punk douchebag?
He doesn't, but if it happened, it would be
it would
like,
be great.
Maybe he could stand up for the rest of his generation. Say, see these lousy punks? We're going to show them who's boss.
Here's what I want Dana White to do. I want him to scour all the MMA gyms all across the country and find a fighter that is Tom Cruise's doppelganger. I want him to find his twin and then sign him to the fight and tell him that tell douchebag that he is that's Tom Cruise, and then just have him fight and then watch this skilled MMA fighter. Even if he's just an amateur MMA fighter, like he's still gonna kick douchebag's ass.
I agree. So you had some breaking news for us too.
Yeah. Normally I don't like to get serious on this show, Loudbeard, but you guys have been listening to my Battle Inside podcast. Going through some things this morning. Loudbeard, I just want to say thank you for all of your support and helping me out with everything. I'm talking in code right now because I'm not able to talk about it. Hopefully, after everything's taken care of this morning, I'll be able to release an episode today talking about it. So please go to scoutteamradio.com or go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast, Podbean, or Stitcher, where you can listen to today's episode and you can listen to the episode to see what I'm talking about. But Loudbeard, thank you for your support, and I hope that everybody else listening right now will just keep me in their thoughts, prayers, concerns, whatever you do to send good vibes my way. I'd appreciate that because I'm going to need it this morning.
Absolutely, man. Good vibes your way. All right. Have a great day. Thank you all for listening in. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend. Now we got to end it on a happy note. And I feel like it's sad.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey,
I got this
Loudbeard.
Sideshow Bob. Yeah.
Loudbeard, where does the sailboat go when it's sick?
I don't know. Where does it go?
To the dock.